Alright, Happy New Year and welcome to a special edition of Cooking Adventures with Matt. Because of how labor intensive this recipe that I'm going to be making today is just going to take me all freaking day, I'm taking it off of Instagram and I'm going to YouTube. So I'm recording, going to be editing and posting this shit hopefully tonight. So what am I cooking? Well, have a look for yourself. Like he said, everyone's going to get to know each other in the pot. Alright, so this recipe comes from Binging with Babish. So Andrew, if you're watching this, I hope I do you proud here. So we're going 3 ounces of dried ancho chilies, 1 ounce of dried cascabel chilies, 12 ounces of beer. All I have is a bat, so sue me. Oil, 6 Roma tomatoes cored and diced. I did this the night before. 1 large onion diced, cocoa powder, brown sugar, cumin, cornmeal, chicken broth, oregano, kidney beans, 3 pounds of chuck roast steak. It's going to be 4 cloves of garlic total. And the pepper situation I'm going to explain a little bit more down the line, but I'm going with jalapenos and serrano peppers on this. Like I said, I'll explain a little bit more what was going on while I'm deviating from the recipe here a little bit. Alright, first order of business here is going to be to dice up the chilies. I got, said, 3 ounces of ancho chilies and 1 ounce of cascabel chilies. I'm going to post a link in the description that's going to say, it's going to post a link to Andrew talking about why he's going with these chilies here and these specific things. But we're just like taking them up and getting all the seeds out of them. For any of you guys in the Metro Detroit area, I want to give a quick shout out to La Tienda Mexicana. They're located over on John R. and between 13 and 14. Every single time I've had to cook Mexican, I always end up trying to go somewhere like Target or Meijer or wherever and try and find something, and every time I always end up going to La Tienda Mexicana at the end. So shout out to you guys for making this all possible. Ancho chilies, that's where you get them. Yeah, we are having an interesting go at cutting up these peppers here. I mean, get a load of the mess I'm making here. I never thought working with dried chilies was going to be this fun. Hey, it's not like I've been to culinary school or anything. Reminder, if you're ever doing anything with peppers, chilies, or anything, always wear gloves. This oil, depending on the Scoville units of the chili that you're using, can be murder. I'll tell you a little quick story about it later on when I'm dicing the jalapenos. Now we got our chilies all diced up. We're going to put them in a pan over medium-high heat, and we're going to toast these guys up. Probably going to take a few of these out here and dice them up a little bit more. But either way, we're going to start toasting these guys, just so we can get some nice aromatic smell going for the chili here. Just keep toasting them. The aromas that are starting to come off of this tray are starting to feel really, really pungent, really just, can't wait to taste this in the chili. These ancho chilies and the cascabel just combining makes it just that, it just smells like the perfect kind of chili. We're waiting to see a little bit of smoke coming off of here, and that's when we know it's going to be perfectly toasted, so then we can start making our chili paste in the food processor. Right there, there's the barely smoking that we need. Taking it off of medium to high heat, I'm going to remove it, and then we're going to start throwing these in the food processor. Alright, so here's my problem here. This is what it means to be an amateur chef. I've got a bowl's worth of chilies, and then I've got this size of a food processor. And I gotta pulse these and chop these down until it's a fine powder, so it's gonna take me about 3 minutes. So I might have to do these in batches depending on how this first batch goes here, but this is why it's called Cooking Adventures. So let's see how this goes here. As I step in one of those chilies, I think I might be able to get away with one batch here. You start going until it's a fine powder, so it should take me about 2-3 minutes to just get this all down here. she's looking good. In goes 1 tablespoon cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of cornmeal, and 1 tablespoon dried cumin. Oh, and I can't forget about the 1 tablespoon of oregano. Pulse a couple times to combine. Alright, and we're going with 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock to make this chili paste here. When you're doing this recipe, you need to get 1 whole 32-ounce container of chicken stock because we're going to use 3/4 of a cup now, and we're going to use the rest of it as the stock for the chili when we're putting everything together and everybody's, you know, getting to know each other. This is where it's bound to get a little messy. Blend until paste forms. And there's our paste. Yeah, so I'm just gonna let this all kind of just hang out here. I might even pop it in the fridge just for let everything kind of like solidify together for the paste here. But we're done with the food processor for this recipe, so no need in wasting another dish or getting like super messy until we absolutely have to. Alright, it is pepper time. So just want to address the issue of spice here. Now the recipe originally calls for just 2 jalapenos and 1 habanero pepper, but everywhere you go, the habanero peppers, you get them in batches, and if you watch the Binging with Babish video, he just tries half of one and it like makes him want to explode. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna add a 3rd jalapeno, and I'm going with 4 serrano peppers. If you do the math with the Scoville units, 4 of these at about 10,000 Scoville units each, plus 1 additional jalapeno pepper, should make up for the lack of the habanero. Now, yeah, I'm not going to get the habanero tasting spice that goes along with it, but what can you do? You know, I'm not like rolling in money here, so I can't buy a whole bunch of habaneros and just, you know, not use them. So we're just coring out the jalapenos here. As I promised earlier, a quick little story on the importance of wearing gloves with peppers. So my uncle used to be really big into spicy foods, and he told me one time that he was just dicing up some jalapeno for a dish that he was cooking. I think he might have mentioned habanero, I'm not quite sure. But he diced it up, and you know, everything was good until the next day. And obviously, you know, good cook washes his hands, not thinking anything of it. The next day, he tries to put his contacts in, and it burned his eye like the fire of Mount Sauron. Is that what it's called? I never saw the third Lord of the Rings. So he's going through contact by contact, trying to put everything in there, and they all just keep burning. So he's thinking, oh my god, I've got an eye infection of some kind. So then he goes to his optometrist, and the optometrist decides, okay, I'm going to put the contact in myself. And I'll never forget how he did this. He says that he was just like putting the contact in and getting all like, hurt, I don't want to hurt. Puts the contact in, it's like, So it turns out the oils that were on his hands, soap and water doesn't get that off of you fairly easily. He learned the hard way. You have to wear gloves when you're dicing peppers. Now it's everyone's favorite time, garlic time. We're gonna go with 5 cloves of garlic for this next part here as opposed to 4. Alright, so what we gotta do here is create garlic paste. This is gonna require chopping, pressing, chopping, pressing, chopping, pressing. Fortunately, I think this is going to be as good as it's going to get. I'm getting more of it like on me than I am actually still on here. This moral story is getting garlic crusher if you're going to go the fresh garlic route. And now it's time to cut up the meat. I'm just kind of cubing it up right now. I got 3 pounds of chuck steak that I got it, thawed it, put it back in the freezer for a couple of hours. Steak is actually easier to cut and handle when it's a little bit on the colder side. So I'm just cubing this up, and I'm going to give it another rough chop before we move on to the next part, which will be on the stove. However, I will take some of these bigger pieces of fat out just because, you know, who actually likes the fat, honestly. So now that we've got this cooking over medium to high heat in the stock pot, we're doing this in batches so that one, everything gets evenly coated, and two, so we can create a nice little fawn at the bottom of the pot, which we're then going to use to help get some more flavor out of some other ingredients here coming up. Also, a quick note here, we are browning this meat. It's going to cook more when we pop it in the oven, so put that shit on high heat. I want this nice and seared, and let that fawn develop. This ain't a slow cook here. That's for later. Oh, you can see that is the good stuff in there. So now we add 1 whole onion to the mix on high heat, along with all of our peppers. Now is when everybody gets to know each other in the pot. I'm also going to add the garlic now. When Andrew did the recipe originally, he kind of forgot this a little bit later on, but I want this to kind of sweat with the onions and the peppers. And my burner went out. This is why I want to get my own house, so I have my own stove, so I have burner that don't just stop working when moving the wrong way. Hashtag first world problems. And now that we've given the onions a chance to sweat in here, we're going to add a little bit of our beer to deglaze. So now that everyone's got a chance to start to get to know each other, add another guest to the party. 6 Roma tomatoes diced up. Wow, did not expect that to just crash the party like that. We're going to add the rest of the beer. That nice bold flavoring with all of the veggies. And now it's that time when everyone starts showing up to the party. Got 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Let's add the chili paste. 1 can of red kidney beans. Add the beef back in. And then we're adding the rest of the chicken stock back to the mixture. Like I said, whole 32-ounce thing minus the, what was that, 3/4 of a cup we used for the paste. Yeah, all this is going in. So this is all looking a little rough and brothy right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this big pot, we're going to put the lid ajar on it as such, and then we're going to pop it in the oven at 300 for 2 to 3 hours. What's going to happen is that all of the liquids are going to blend together, the stock is going to start thickening, and eventually it's going to look way more tomatoey, and all the vegetables are going to start breaking down. Like Kevin said in the office, everybody's going to start to get to know each other, and it's going to come out right as rain. So hopefully in 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to have like the best chili in the whole world. Alright, 3 hours later. Tomatoes look pretty much gone in this. They probably just fully disintegrated. White cheese. Pretty damn good. It's just heat hot right now. Not really tasting the spice too heavily in here. That beef has been tenderized hardcore. Pair it with nice Mexican Coke. So I'm gonna go and try and see if I can't eat more of this without burning the roof of my mouth. But you know, if you got any questions, just feel free to message me or comment below. And no, I'm not taking this into the office, and I'm not going to dump it all over my carpet. So, Happy New Year.